Welcome to Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
Welcome to another episode of Talking Grit. I am Jason Harwood. With me here is Jacob Litton. Victory Monday is upon us. The Lions absolutely destroyed the Bears. I'm feeling good. How about you, Jacob?
Oh, I feel great. Nothing better than a Victory Monday, first one of the year.
Yeah.
A dominant win, convincing fashion.
Yeah. Oh, man. It felt good being in the stadium. I'm sure it felt good being at home. The only thing I found out later on was that they kept calling Brian Branch Deion Branch. Did that drive you nuts?
It did. I heard it the first time. I'm like, oh, that's funny. He messed up. He called him Deion Branch. And they did it like 2 or 3 more times. Like, all right, man, get it together.
I
don't know. Was it Vilma?
It was Vilma.
That's what I thought.
At least
yeah.
The one where I caught it was Vilma. So the reason why I obviously I'm at the stadium, I don't hear it. For one of our comments on one of the videos you posted on YouTube was Deion, and I'm like, what? And I didn't get it. And then I listened to the clip, and I'm like, he called him Deion Branch. And I'm old enough to know the wide receiver Deion Branch. Do you watch football when Deion Branch was with Brady?
Yeah, for sure.
So you would know that too.
It wasn't that long
ago. I
ago.
was just like, I was like, that's a way back callback for Deion Branch. Yeah, it's crazy.
It was funny because he corrected himself. Or he called him Brian Branch, then he called him Deion again after that. So, I don't know.
We do live shows, right? We screw up sometimes. So I give it to those guys, but they're professionals. You would think he'd get Brian Branch, one of our top defenders name right, especially with all the plays that he makes, especially yesterday.
Exactly. If he didn't remember his name before, he does now.
Yeah, I'm sure that's in the post-production meeting. Like, you got to get his name right, okay, man? You got to get his name right.
I don't know why they didn't correct him during. Like, the first one, the first one's a gimme, but after 2, somebody, somewhere needs to be like, hey, it's Brian, you called him Deion. No, they just let him go.
Maybe someone in the production crew doesn't like him, and they want to get him fired, so it's like, we're just going to let him go.
Maybe they were all just in such awe of the performance the Lions were putting on that none of them could even think straight.
Yeah, I will tell you that it was awesome being in the stadium for that offensive performance.
It doesn't get much better than that, does it?
Well, I've been there when they dropped 50 last, two times last year. This was even more exciting because of the whole Ben Johnson factor, and just the way they kept scoring was so much fun. There was a lot of explosive plays, mostly in the pass game, but certainly in the run game, which we'll get to later on. But yeah, it was a fun time. When the JMO hit his touchdown, the guy behind me said, "My parlay hit." So it's one of the nice guys that I talk to he's our season ticket holder. So he was super happy. He was playing Amon-Ra fantasy, so he wasn't happy about that. But, I said, you got to take that, man. I take 3 touchdowns from Amon-Ra every time. I don't care if I'm losing the championship of fantasy football. Take it from Amon-Ra.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Let's get to. There wasn't really any transactions of note before this game, other than they elevated Monty Rice from the practice squad to the active list, and he got a 15-yard personal foul penalty in the game. So we'll see if they continue to elevate him or not. He was just joined the team this week, and they already elevated him. I think they really needed to improve special teams, and I think that they were looking for anybody that could spark anything there.
Absolutely. Funny that he, just walks in the building, though, and he's already like, here you go, we're going to give you a shot.
Yep,
just became a Lion, and then here we are, opening kickoff, Ford Field, the noise level, everything going crazy. Yeah, he's probably shell-shocked a bit.
Yeah. Just real quick, Dan on chat says, Vilma sounds like Tom Brady, but not a good night for Vilma. I am not a huge fan of Vilma. I don't really,
yeah.
There's some people, whatever. I mean, sure he's a nice guy or whatever, but when he's on the Lions broadcast and I'm watching, I'm like, anybody else, please. All right, man. Overall thoughts or interesting thoughts. Did you have anything in this category that struck you as interesting?
I mean, really just overall a complete team win that we needed, right? Which is weird that it's like in week 2. In the grand scheme of things, no, it shouldn't matter as much. But, to have the game that we did against the Packers, and also, then the Packers have another dominant performance on Thursday against Washington, we really need to come out and, show that we still have what it takes and be able to show that we are still a football team, that you need to be worried about, to silence all the doubters and everything, make people remember. And, we absolutely accomplished that. Flying colors, like just, really got the point across, really drove it home. Even sweeter for it to come against Ben Johnson like that. They just had no answer for it. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was like I said, being there was great. I needed this. I was not worried about the Lions, but just in my general Lions fandom and just for me feeling like less anxiety, I'm an anxious person by nature. I might not always show it on the outside, but I am inside. And it just helped me. It just helped me calm down, especially the way we won that game. That being said, when we get into this, there's a lot to line. I mean, I know the Lions scored 52 points. I'm very happy about that. But when I watched all 22, we left a lot on the table, both offensively and defensively, which makes me feel even better. Okay, we didn't need, we didn't need an A+ game to do this. We did this with our B- game. In my opinion, we could do much better, and we're gonna, Brian Branch already said that in the locker room celebration. We got Baltimore on deck. That's a tough game, and I'm glad that he's already mentioned that. That means that they're not going to sit there and celebrate this win like it was some major accomplishment. It's win number 1. It's important to get it, on the books. It's important for, to get things rolling. But it was also the way we scored in this game, and I know Ben Johnson was on the opposite sideline, but the whole talk and people going crazy about Johnnie Mo and like our offense is garbage or whatever, narrative that you wanted to spit out, that he just said, watch this. And then he did something that Ben Johnson's never even done. He was the most yards per play that the Lions have ever done, like in Johnnie Mo's second game.
Yeah, almost average a first down per play.
Yeah.
I think it was 8.8 yards, right?
Unbelievable. Insane. Yeah. And so, like, that, and also, I don't care what was said before this game. Watching this game, the way it played out, how they ran their offense, how going for it on fourth down way late just tells me that there was something personal in this game. I don't think it was like, hey, we hate Ben Johnson, but I think it was like, you want to come in our division, we're not going to take it easy on you. We don't care if you used to coach here or not. We don't care what all the great things that you did for us. And, I was in the stadium when they were doing the F Ben Johnson chat. I don't know if that played over the broadcast. Did you know that they were doing that? Could you hear it?
I saw like somebody tweet about it, but I did not hear it. I also did not have my volume up very high after the Deion Branch stuff.
Yes. Exactly.
It was also relaxing. There was not me. I don't exactly need the announcers to tell me what's going on during the game. But yeah, it was a relaxing Sunday. It was not like, I needed, injury intel or anything like that. Now, were you one of the ones booing when Ben Johnson came out initially? Did you boo him?
I mean,
because I heard that.
The Bears come out like all as a team. Yes, they get booed every time. I don't care who's there. I'm going to boo them. So I thought it's crappy that Ben Johnson went inside the division, but there's only so many of these head coaching jobs. If I had to choose, I certainly wouldn't. New Orleans would have been my last on my list. I get it. Like, he thought that maybe this is the best opportunity for him, maybe with the offensive weapons they have there. If you think you can deal with Caleb Williams, I think that that's maybe what he was choosing from. However, I don't agree with the F Ben Johnson stuff. He did a lot of good stuff in the city, and we loved him up until that point. So I don't believe that. I believe the score said F Ben Johnson enough that the fans didn't need to say it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of those types of chants. I'm all for it, if you're going to boo him when he comes out or whatever. But yeah, don't really like the F Ben Johnson chants, even if that's how you feel.
Yeah, I think I don't know. That's probably just me. I did have to explain to my boys what they were chanting, though. They couldn't hear it. They didn't understand because no one around us was saying it. It must have been other sections because I didn't. And then, I finally figured out, because when you're in the stadium, sometimes it's really hard to, like, if you're not next to the people that cheering like that, a lot of it's white noise. But then I figured out what they were saying. And so then I, told Preston sits next to me, my oldest. So I, told him, and then he filtered it down to Bradley. Bradley filtered it down to Sarah, but they did not say that. They said F Ben Johnson. They did not say the right word, but I wasn't a huge fan of that. Jared Goff was not a huge fan of that. He said it, in his post-game press conference. It is what it is, but I could have done without that.
Right.
All right, man. Special teams. Let's start there. Anything that you want to talk about there?
Yeah, I mean, special teams is actually probably the only phase of the game that we did not really 100% dominate in. Khalif Raymond had one good punt return out of 3 tries, and one of those he got absolutely blown up on. Just as soon as he caught it, got smoked. Stewart had 2 kick returns. He had 1 good return out of his 2 chances. Sailors, though, that very first opening kickoff, Jacob Sailors, went out and caught it so that we could get the penalty. That was close. It looked close live. It almost looked as if he caught it and then went out and that we were going to start it at the 5. Did that look close in person?
That was right in front of me. That was my corner of the end zone. And so I could see I had a perfect angle for that kick. I was like, I think that's going to go out of bounds, just on its own. And so, but it's got to be, you got to be careful, because if that ball bounces in the landing zone and then goes on the inside of that pylon, you're getting it at the 20 as opposed to the 40. So it's like half the distance. So you got to be sure. But yes, when he caught it, initially I was like, was he already out of bounds when he caught that? And because you're right. If he catches it and then steps out of bounds, then we're at the 5, and that's right. Even worse. So yeah, that would have been terrible.
Ended up being a great play, but it was really, really close.
Yeah.
Moving on to the other special teams, Jack Fox was solid. He averaged 49 yards on his 3 punts. That's expected. I mean, nothing astounding, but on par. How do you feel about Jake Bates, though? So, I mean, he goes 7 for 7 on extra points, but he missed a makeable 55-yard field goal, which obviously is 55 yards. But for him, that, and we're indoors and everything, it felt like one that he should have. And then he also, I don't know if he was getting too cute on the kickoff and missed the landing zone on a kickoff, right? So, I mean, what are your thoughts overall on him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried going forward. It wasn't his best game. I think he'll be fine. The guy behind me was really confused, thought he made the kick, because from our angle, it kind of looked like it went through. But then, I look at the refs anyway.
You're in the corner,
all that,
right?
Yeah,
I'm
in the corner,
so it's
like it is very hard to see inside or outside, especially if it's high. But it's hard to tell right or left where I'm at. So I always look to the refs. The guy behind me wasn't paying attention, apparently. And then Chicago ran 2 offensive plays. He's like, what the heck's going on? Like, we missed a few of those, But I would say overall for special teams, the only thing I'm going to add is we need to get more out of our return game.
Yes.
We need some more juice there. I don't know if it's necessary to get fast, to get Lovett back there, get some faster guys, or it's better blocking. I'm not sure if it's a combination of both, but I would like a little more juice back there. Maybe when Baki gets back, but he's also not a burner, but he's going to have better vision than Stewart. When you're watching Stewart return, it's like he's getting a full head of steam. And if that lane isn't open that he's shooting for, he's going down as soon as he gets
right.
I mean, I eventually think one's just going to hit right. It's going to get blocked right. He's going to just hit the right hole, and it's going to explode, and people will go crazy. But as far as consistency, I just don't see it with him in it. But it's early, and I could be wrong. Obviously, Dave Phipp and the Lions do see something because they keep putting him out there. But I'm not overly excited about it. I'd rather get some more juice and get, you got to get all the way up to the 35, to break even with a touchback now.
Yeah, I told you. I mean, I was not too keen on the Stewart experiment returning the kicks anyway before the season started. So yeah, it's going about as well as I thought it would. Like you already mentioned, I mean, he sees a target, he's running. I don't know if he picks a guy or if he just picks a lane. Like, this is where I'm running for this time. If he makes it, cool. If he doesn't, he's trying to run somebody over. He took a hard hit too. Yeah. So I don't think there's potential for him to break one off for a touchdown. if the lane's open, he'll probably break it and maybe he could make it to the 50 or something like that. But I don't see him breaking one up for a touchdown. That home run ability is not there.
No, but I do like seeing him truck people. That is fun, but I'm holding my breath every time that he's not going to fumble. I could tell you that.
Right. I mean, but you could keep him on kickoff as a blocker. You could keep him up front. You don't have to have him returning the kicks.
No, it's you're 100% right with that. I mean, I guarantee that if he's not returning kicks, he's still on the kick return team just up front. That he's replacing someone.
Vaki, Nowaski comes back. I imagine Nowaski's going to be back out there. I mean, we'll shuffle some people around.
Yep. All right, defense. Where you want to start there?
Man, defense, where to start? I guess we'll just, overall numbers, we gave up 339 total yards. Get 4 sacks, forced 2 turnovers, held them to 0 for 2 on 4th down tries, 7 for 13 on 3rd down. Ideally, you'd like to do a little better on stopping them on 3rd down, but the 4th down stops were huge. If you had to give one game ball for the defense, if you could only give one game ball, I think it's an easy answer. But if you could only give one?
Let's go to give 2 game balls because Branch. That's an easy
not
answer,
the rules,
right?
Jason.
I know, but it's a more fun game because we're both going to pick Branch, right?
Well, that's why I said I thought there was an obvious answer, and you said it.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can just talk about yes. Let's go.
Okay. Branch. I mean, especially when we get to the all 22, which we're going to do again at the end. After the regular portion of our podcast is done. If you stick around, you're listening to us now. We're going to do the all 22 at the end again. It's fun for Jacob and I. We hope you enjoy it too. I hope you get something out of it. I know I do. I would say Branch just looks like just this amazing chess piece that you could put anywhere on the field and you could trust him to make a play. He is super dynamic. Had another forced fumble. Actually, two forced fumbles on one play. That got called back, unfortunately, with a penalty. But that was, if it isn't clear by now that we need to lock him up with an extension in the offseason, then I don't know what is, because he's very key to what we do on this defense and makes it run so much better.
Yeah, he played out of his mind. He had multiple huge hits, multiple forced fumbles. I really liked, which I don't know if you pinpointed this one, but it may have been the sack or maybe just when he had that roughing the passer, but they had him lined up like over the tight end, and he lined up. He didn't give away or anything. He's just lined up as if he's covering that man. As soon as the ball snap, he takes off, and he's got just a free lane. And I think it was the roughing the passer where it was like DeAndre Swift had to choose between blocking Branch or blocking Anzalone. He had to go one or the other. And then Branch just had that free reign, which stinks because, that was a nice pressure. He jumps in the air. Live, could you tell? He kind of hit him a little high, but that was Terry Arnold's first interception there, and he got called back for that roughing the passer.
Yeah, well, I thought you could see that Branch was we thought it was tipped. We thought that maybe Branch tipped that just live when we saw it. But when I saw the flag, I thought, we probably, had his hands out to block the pass and came down and hit his helmet. That's not what happened. It was basically Caleb kind of like shrugged his shoulders and he hit him with his chest and the head. I thought it was a ticky-tack call, to be honest with you. I don't know what Branch is supposed to do there. I get it if his hands hit him in the head or something like that, but your chest? Come on. That's just part of football. I don't agree with it. And then to make it even worse was that we were all like, the guy behind me was like really wanted Terrion to get an interception. We all do, right? We wanted to see him get his first one, and for him to get it and then to take it away. Oh my God. And it was a second almost interception of the game. He had another tipped one that he had his hands on earlier too. So it was disappointing from all the angles. We could have got another turnover. Branch made a great play, got, stupid call, I think. I get it. If it was Goff, I'd want it to be called, but I still think it sucked, and it's not in the spirit of roughing the passer, in my opinion. Yeah,
it was high, but it was not a forcible contact. It wasn't like you already said. What are you supposed to? He jumped up in the air. Like, he's got to come down. It wasn't like, the ball was already thrown. It wasn't like he drove into Caleb or took him down or anything. He just kind of touched him at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was still an awesome play. Still a great play. Still, sent the pressure. That was before the sack. The sack was on a similar play when he came in and kind of got the sack. But, I mean, outside of that, he had a nice pass breakup on Roma Dunze where he almost caught the ball. Branch came over and smacked him. He had a tackle on Swift where Branch is all the way on the other side of the field. The run goes that way, and Branch just like a missile just comes across and hits him. He just had a great game all around.
Mm-hmm. He just has his instincts, and I'm sure that there's a lot of tape watching because it just seems like he knows where the ball's going to go before, anybody else does, and he's just in there. That when he caused the fumble on Swift, it was like that play too. Like he shot the hole and just like, it was like this perfect hit, and the ball just come. That was one of those fumbles that from the stands you could see because it popped up in the air, and so you could see the ball. Like when you're at the stadium, sometimes you don't know it's a fumble because it happens close to the ground, and only the people really close to the field can see it. But that one hit him, and it just popped up in the air, and it's like, please God, we'll let the Lions come down with that. Please let them come down with it, and they did. That was an awesome play.
Definitely. Outside of Branch, who else? What was the second player that came to your mind? You said you want to give out
Tyleik Williams came to my mind.
Tyleik, okay. I have him on my noteworthy players, but let's see.
Well, I liked his those knockdown passes are huge. Justin Rogers said today, so Tyleik had 2 knockdown passes. Justin Rogers said no one last year on the Lions had 2. The whole team, no one had 2. So Tyleik did get 2, and it was something. I don't know exactly what source I read it, but it was something he was known for in college with Ohio State. Like that, he got his hands up, and I like that. I mean, those plays, and it almost turned into an interception one time. The other time was a third down, I think, that he knocked down. So those are just gigantic plays, and if he keeps doing it, we're gonna get a pick off. You're gonna get a pick by one of those. Just a ball pop in the air, linebackers right there, maybe a nickel corner. Generally, those are the guys that are going to pick up on, or maybe a Hutch or something like that. Someone near the line pick that up. So I liked it. I mean, he still has a lot to go, but I was happy with those knockdown passes for sure. Who else you got?
So I had Tyleik listed on here just because those were huge huge stops that he had. He also was in on the 4th and 1 where they kind of the Bears went for it on their own 37. Tyleik was up in the middle, I believe with DJ Reader, and they stopped a 4th and short, and that's huge. Mm-hmm. Obviously, at that point, it's a 14-7 game. We get the ball back, which unfortunately is when Bates missed the field goal. But I mean, that was a huge stop, huge momentum swing. I do want to mention though, and I don't know if I'm sure you saw this, but I don't know if you noticed. I noticed during the game, but Mekhi Wingo was out there a lot. So DJ Reader played 24 snaps, Tyleik plays 25, and Mekhi Wingo played 37 snaps at defensive tackle. And it felt like, I mean, when I'm watching on TV, I'm seeing Wingo out there a lot and sometimes some big plays, which was very interesting for me. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, Dan Campbell said in his press conference 2 weeks ago that we're going to need him. And I didn't expect it to be 37 snaps, need him, but him and Roy Lopez played a lot. Like, do you have the snap count there?
Yeah, Roy got 31. So Wingo led, and then Roy Lopez got 31. So those were the 2 most snaps at defensive tackle. And on the surface, you could say, well, the game was out of hand and, like they maybe rested. That wasn't really the case. I mean, these snaps were in the first, like they were leading the snaps in the first half.
They were rotating a lot. And so they were rotating. There was some drives because I watching the All-22, I'm like, Roy Lopez is in again. And Roy Lopez, like I noticed a lot of, like, I know his stat sheet is not that great, Lopez, but he was, there were some plays where he was getting so much penetration that Swift had to alter the play, like as it was going. And so like that stuff doesn't get on, the box score or whatever, but it makes a huge difference in the game, bouncing out, letting your linebackers get up in their spots. The defensive line rotation was interesting, and then Al-Quadin Muhammad is probably on your list too, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he just, we kind of mentioned it before, the former Bear, him and David Montgomery, like a little extra juice in the game, but Muhammad looks better and better like every week. And I mean, he makes the most of the snaps that he got out there, and it culminated with a huge sack in this game.
Yeah, Dan Campbell gave him a big shout out in the press conference too, and he deserves it. He's a hustler, baby.
Ah,
He
all
yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's good. That was for free. You know, he hustles and he fits on this defense. Dan says he's earned more playing time, and maybe he's going to get it with Davenport. Whether the injury, I'm not sure. He's because injured twice, was back out there both times. Did talk with the media afterwards, which is usually a good sign. But Dan said something today at a press conference about getting a second opinion. So I don't know what that's about. My feeling is that I don't think it's serious, but based
We
on
hope.
getting a second opinion, it kind of makes me second
It
guess that.
Right. That brings up more questions when you say second opinion. But
Mhm.
no, Davenport had a decent game too, and then they were sliding protection towards Hutch. They had two, sometimes three people over on Hutch. It was very important that the other side of the line gets some pressure and makes something happen. So Al-Qadim got a sack. Marcus Davenport also got a sack. He's collapsing the pocket like we know he can. Unfortunately, he had the ankle injury early on. Weren't sure. When the ankle injury happened, I thought he's probably done for the day. I was like, I don't think we're going to see him again. And all of a sudden, here comes Davenport, comes back out, gets a sack, and then now it's a shoulder. It was his ankle, now it's a shoulder. It's like, my God, why can't he just stay healthy?
I know.
So obviously, man, really hoping that he's okay and that it's nothing serious there. But, we do have Al-Qadim with a kind of similar to Hutch and a relentless motor. You don't have to worry about the effort that you're going to get from him.
And he can hold the edge too. You know what I mean? I trust him over there to hold the edge for the run game. So I'm happy with that. I did think the Lions did a pretty good job holding Caleb's rushing down. He was 5 rushes for 27 yards. I know he had like a long of 10, but I never felt like, man, we got beat by Caleb's rushing. A couple times he got out of there, but nothing major. So I was okay with that. Were you happy with it?
Yes. I mean, that was one of the things we mentioned, keys to victory. I was like, don't let him scramble. Don't let him drop and just give him the wide open middle of the field for him to run up there. And we didn't really do that at the exception of that one 10-yard run, I believe. I mean, the other scrambles, he was fighting for those yards. It wasn't like we, just left him hanging and let him go loose. And there was somebody constantly on him pressuring him. So, yeah, no, I think he played that just about as well as you could. I mean, if he's a mobile quarterback. He's going to scramble sometimes. He's going to be able to get some yards sometimes. You just have to limit that damage and limit the effectiveness. And we definitely did that 100%.
I agree. So just out of comparison, in his first week, so against the Vikings, he was 6 rushes for 58 yards with a TD. So, we held him like one less rush and held him for 31, less yards. So compared to the Vikings, we did a much better job of bottling him up. I will say, like, when we talked about, our keys to victory, one of mine was, weathering the storm, because Caleb came out and versus the Vikings and those scripted plays and just looked really good. And it's very similar to what happened in this game. Like that first drive, we score a touchdown, they come right back and, score on us. And they average, so on that drive, they averaged 9.9 yards per play. So almost a first down per play. The rest of the game was 4.7 yards, so half as much, the rest of the way. So it tells me a little bit about Caleb and Ben Johnson's offense. Like, Caleb is just not, as far as the rest of the playbook, he's just not all the way comfortable there. But the plays that they put to practice over and over again, he's got down pretty good. So, it could speak to in the future, like if he gets more used to the playbook, then you could see extended success for him, or if it's something that he just can't handle, or in the middle of game, the pressure or whatever gets to him and he'll make stupid mistakes, like the Kirby Joseph interception was a terrible choice and a terrible throw.
Right. All around just bad for him. Pressure by Hutch rolling out, and then 10 yards past your receiver. It's one of those young quarterback things. You got to get rid of that ball. You got to throw that away.
Yes.
No. And he made some decent throws, but like the first touchdown that he had was just blown. I don't know. We had like a zone. That was when Rome had like a crossing route. And I don't understand, like Jack Campbell kind of just let him run right by. So that's something we can look in all 22 later. But I mean, that one was kind of almost just a gimme because there was just, a miscommunication, a blown coverage, and then he's got the whole left side of the field to throw it to Rome and Rome to run in.
Yeah,
Even
I don't know
if TJ
what
would have stopped
happened
him, it would have been at like the 2-yard line. So, I mean, you can't.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was on that. It was definitely a blown coverage. I watched that in all 22 multiple times just to see what I thought happened, and I couldn't figure it out. So
Yeah.
it was messed up. All right. What do you think? I have a few things that I think that they need to clean up. Is there anything that you want to start out with, or you want me to go?
No, you can go ahead.
All right. So we got to stop third downs. We got to they were 7 for 13. We have got to get better. There are two critical ones on that first drive alone that we stop and we're off the field. Did this against the Packers. This game looks even. I mean, we're even way more comfortable had we stop them at that, and then we go down and score and go up 14-0. Then we're really in control of that game. There was a few, the defense ended up getting some stops later on, especially on turnover and downs and stuff like that. But they, we gotta get off the field on third down. We got to figure out a way to do that. Whether it's dialing up pressure, having better coverage, whatever we have to do, we got to get better on that, especially early in the game.
Yeah, I do feel like Shep is bringing pressure on third down, and it was different this week. Last week we were trying to bring exotic pressure coming from the secondary, the linebackers, and that was when we were dropping Davenport and Hutch. We didn't do that this week, but we still were bringing like an extra man. It just felt like they weren't getting home, and just the coverage was not tight enough on these 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Just seemed like they were constantly like just getting enough. Even the touchdown that we mentioned, that was 3rd and 9.
Mm-hmm.
3rd and 9, then they score a 28-yard touchdown. So yeah, we do have to do better on third down.
Yep.
I don't know if that's just a play calling thing or if that's execution. But we can't let Baltimore get every third down, or we're going to be in for a long night.
Oh, we're going to be in trouble. And Swift averaged 5.2 yards per carry. A lot of he was able to get on the outside. Nothing was up the middle. It was all the outside runs, meaning the linebackers weren't cleaning that up. We weren't taking proper rush lane. There's a lot of reasons for that, but we need to clean that up, especially, facing Derrick Henry next week, where we can't just let them rush to the outside. We're going to be in a lot of trouble if we do that.
Yes, absolutely. Different level of running back who also came off a bad week. I don't know if you saw Derrick Henry kind of got held in check. He only had maybe like 20 yards or 30 yards and something like that last week. So, he's going to be hungry against the Lions.
Yeah.
You got to be up to the challenge.
Lions I feel like the Lions are going to be ready. I mean, I feel so much more confident now that we had a really good week last week. Now it was the Bears, I granted. But all right, anything else on the defense before we move over to the offense?
No, I think we're good. I think it's worth mentioning that Hutch also, despite all the efforts that they made, he still had a sack. He had 5 quarterback pressures. So, I mean, I know a lot of people, because Hutch isn't getting home and isn't getting the hits and isn't getting 5 sacks a game, they're thinking that he's maybe lost a step or is not impactful. But in my opinion, I just don't think that's true. I just think that they're purposely game planning around trying to stop him. They're chipping him every chance that they get. They've got multiple people on there. Is he putting up 5 sack performances? Is he showing out as dominant? Maybe not, but that's also part of their game planning and less about him as a player. And it's definitely not anything to do with the injury.
Yeah. Well, when you watch L22, you see how much he's affecting. There was like plays where he's bull rushing people and just Caleb has to get rid of the ball because he's about to push the left or the right tackle right into Caleb. I mean, he's doing Hutch things, and they are chipping, and they're doing a lot of things around that. It's going to be up to the Lions for the other guys to win their one-on-ones, for them to for another guy to be dominant. They're going to have to take the pressure away from Hutch. And in this game, in the second half, there's other guys that were taking, Davenport got a sack, AQM got a sack, and obviously Branch secondary got a sack. So there's other guys that were getting home that weren't getting home for the Packers. So that was a good step. All right. Offense, 511 yards, 8.8 yards per play. Awesome. Just great. Goff, 23 of 28, 334 yards, 5 touchdowns. Amon-Ra, 9 receptions, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. Both of those guys are up for ground and air FedEx player of the week. Hard to choose between one of those guys for them to win for me. But maybe Amon-Ra because he could do the leap into the stands and Goff can't quite get
failed.
there.
Yeah.
But did you see the JMO thing about Randy Moss on the sidelines? Did you see that sight and sound on the sidelines?
I did not.
So
From the Lions released the sight and sound?
Yeah, the Lions released it. So like Jameson's like, I got a Randy Moss stat line, 2 catches for 108 yards. He's like, I'm averaging over 50 yards a catch, and so it was funny. I mean, they were joking around about it, but yeah, that was JMO did what we wanted him to do, right? In fact, one of the plays, he ran out of his shoes, the one that Goff overthrew him. I don't know if you noticed that he ran out of his shoes. I don't know if they put that on the broadcast or not. But Sarah saw it in the stand. She's like, I think he lost one of his shoes. And he still outran the guy, and wondering if he could have caught up with it with his cleat, if he would have ran under it with, or Goff would have overshot him still.
No, I did not notice the cleat.
Yeah. I got it in the all 22. I think I'll find it. I know what play it is, so you could watch it. Yeah, he just ran. There was one where he overshot. It's the first play in the second quarter. He overshot him, and
right.
Yeah, that was like around the 45-yard, the Lions' own 45-yard line. You see a cleat running on the ground, and it's JMO's.
Goff also missed him early in the game. It was like a 20 and 25-yard gain. He was wide open, and Goff missed him just short.
Yeah.
So, potentially that's 4 catches for, almost 180 yards maybe. So, no, but it's funny because it just seems like more often than not, JMO finds the end zone against the Bears. Something about playing the Bears, even like, he had one game before, I think, was kind of the same. It was like 3 catches for like 80 yards and a touchdown. Maybe not as many receptions, but he's finding the end zone, which is awesome to see. Good, and especially, another player after last week and everything, really want to see him get out and get more involved. I would have liked to see him get more than 2 catches, but as we just mentioned, it's not like the opportunities weren't there. They just, missed connections.
That's fine. He can get his 108 yards. He only had 7 yards than Amon-Ra, and only needed 2 catches to get there, so he affected the game. You don't know if he obviously enjoyed it. Gibbs, 12 rushes for 94 yards. Would have hit 100 had he not had a negative 11 yards on one of those rushes. And he had that 42-yard long. Did you watch the 42-yarder? Like, Goff is signaling touchdown. Like, as soon as he gets...
I didn't notice that.
Oh, yeah. Watch it. It's hilarious. I could see it, like, live when it was happening. Goff thinks that, like, he's like, oh, it's gone. But the safety was playing far enough back that he was able to cut Gibbs off, but that was awesome.
Yeah, no, another great performance by Gibbs. The juke move that he hit another really nice juke move, separate himself. Over 100 all-purpose yards, right? Because he still had a couple catches there too. So solid game from him. Decent game from David Montgomery. They had to make sure that he scored against the Bears. 57 yards and a touchdown for him. So yeah, no, the rushing attack did more positive things, more than what it's supposed to do. Jared Goff also averaged 6 yards per rushing attempt, so he had a pretty good mobile quarterback game.
For Goff, that's amazing.
How are you feeling? I mean, obviously, it seemed like everything was clicking for the offense, but how do you feel about the offensive line? I mean, we saw everything was going right. Without a doubt, it was better than last week. But are you satisfied? I mean, do you feel more comfortable with where they're at right now?
I mean, I certainly feel better than week 1. The missing assignments weren't there in this one, and whether that's growth, whether that's we're being at home, whether that was more time on task, probably a combination of all those things, right? What we need to get better and what will make the running game better is getting to the second level. Watching the all-22, there were so many guys that we just missed second, like one more block. Like, you would always see Frank hit his initial guy, get him out of the play, and then go up and get a linebacker. And that would be enough, to spring these long runs. And that's what's going to happen later on the season once these guys get going. Tate played better for sure, but there were a few times where, he's just missing some blocks. And it's going to take some experience. And him and Mahogany, they can get their initial block. We need them to get, do enough to just get their guy out of the play and then get up to the second level. And once they get comfortable with that, then we're going to be really explosive. And I trust that those guys will be able to do that.
Where's your head at? Because you mentioned Frank. So where's your head at with Graham? I mean, 2 weeks in and seeing. I mean, he's done a serviceable job, but he hasn't done a great job. Especially where you mentioned that hitting that second level and clearing the way and everything like that. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
And that's not missed assignments from Graham. That's just not, that's just not making that play or not, being able to do that. Do you feel like he's going to catch on as the season goes on, or do you think this is about...
I don't know. My feeling is that some of it is like, this is what we're going to get with Graham. You can't expect Frank out there because he's not Frank. Not many people are. But also, if he's getting the calls right and things are going well and we're able to average 5 yards a carry, I'm going to... Okay, and we're going to... Goff was, not sacked in this game. I know we're used to all pro level center play. Graham is not that. We shouldn't expect that from him. In the future, are we going to have to address it? Yeah, we're going to have to address it, whether that's through Tate or someone else that we get in free agency or the draft. Something's going to have to happen. I think that's clear. We can win with this offensive line. This offensive line will be good enough for us. Do you feel that, or are you really down on Graham, or what's your thoughts?
No, I still, I feel better than I did last week for sure. And most of that is just because of the missed assignments. I've said that before. I want them to work as a unit. I want that. It's one thing to just not be able to make the block. It's one thing, like, you understand the call. This is who your assignment is. At least you get a hand on him. You might slow him down or something, but you don't hit the block. Obviously it's not good enough, but you can kind of live with that on some plays. You can still make it happen. But when you completely whiff and you miss your assignments and they're, Decker said 2 of them are running a different play than the other 3, that kind of stuff can't happen anymore. Like all year. If we're going to win, you can't do that again. I don't know if they're dumbing down some of the protections. I don't know what, maybe it was just that we were at home. It's hard for me to just say, well, it was one more week and now they finally figured it out when they didn't have it before. I don't think that's the case. I think that we're probably about at the cap of what Graham is going to be able to do, which is, a serviceable job. He's going to be able to make the calls. He's going to be able to, to make the blocks. He's not going to wow anybody. And, when you get some of these superstar defensive tackles, they're going to be on there. I just think that we have to see more out of Mahogany and Ratledge as well. You can't lean on Graham like we could lean on Frank. And that does concern me going forward, especially Decker also. If we're talking about the offensive line, I don't think Decker has looked particularly great. I don't know if that's still something to do with the injury or whatever, but I mean, obviously we're not sounding the alarm right now, but I do want to say that it's a possible cause for concern down the road.
I agree. These are all great points. It's stuff I'm sure the Lions are aware of. I agree with you. Decker has not looked amazing. I do think things are going to go up with Mahogany and Ratledge. So if you think Graham's going to stay still, I think the interior is still going to get much better throughout the year because I think Mahogany and Ratledge just through more reps and they're going to be ready to play. And so I could be encouraged by that thought that, okay, well, we're going to see the best we get from Graham as long as he continue making the calls. And, it is a worry this upcoming week because we're going on Baltimore. It's going to be very loud in there. Monday Night Football, there's going to be a lot of pressure for the young guys. And, we got to be on top of the communication. So hopefully, that this was a sign that we could get there. Now I know it's at home, so it's not apples to apples in this situation, but it is more time on task. And I think Campbell said it in his press conference. He said that, they're going to learn some of these nonverbal communications, like just from them playing more and getting more reps in. And so obviously this was a huge game to get him in. It may be one of the reasons why Dan left the number 1 offense in probably a series longer than most of us would have. The game was out of hand and we get them down there. Maybe it's just to get those reps. I think Jeremy Reisman said, just think of these extra reps as the preseason reps we missed.
Yeah, I saw that too. Right.
Yeah. Thought that was funny.
Let them get some work in.
Yeah, exactly. Couple things. Dan says, glad to see Brock do so well yesterday. And I did notice Brock, right? I mean, not only was he able to catch, touchdown pass, caught at least, I don't know how many catches he had. I know he caught at least
three
one.
catches.
Was it three?
Him and Laporta
Okay.
both had 3 for probably right between 25 and 30 apiece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brock was really good at blocking too. Like he really looked really good in the run game and just, holding his position. Dan is curious what you thought happened to Sam. Do you think he was schemed out? Do you think there was just something that we just didn't throw to him? What do you think happened to Sam in this game?
I mean, he had a couple catches, so I don't think it was the lack of involvement. They just didn't have to call his number. I mean,
Right.
that's just part of the. I don't know if schemed out is necessarily the right way to word it, but I mean, it kind of is. Like, it just wasn't. We just didn't call his number, right? We didn't need to, and I'm sure they had a couple plays where he may have been the read there. But I mean, Goff obviously had an excellent game. He saw some different things pre-snap or whatever, and he went where he knew he could go with the ball, and it worked, beautifully. I'm sure Laporte is okay with only catching 3 passes when we put up 50 points.
Yeah. And so Dan asks, was Amon-Ra schemed out last week versus the Packers? I'm going to say that Amon-Ra is so good at those long over the middle throws that the Packers we didn't have enough time, and the offensive line was not giving us enough time that Amon-Ra would have been open for those. I think that was more it than anything else. Obviously, they were keyed on Amon-Ra. They knew he was going on third down. But my feeling is we're going to burn him with that in the Thanksgiving Day game. We're going to take advantage of some double moves. We're going to run that same play, have Amon-Ra, the safety's going to come in, and we're going to send Sam right behind him or J-Mo, up the seam, and we're going to burn him. So they will use that to their advantage. And if they don't want to do that, then we'll hit Amon-Ra for the automatic first down and be happy with it and go on with another set of downs.
Yeah, I definitely think the game is going to look much different the next time we play. What did you think of Amon-Ra lined up in the backfield taking snaps as a running back? He had 2 carries, and one of them, I think one of them was the first down. Yeah, it was a third down run. It was first down.
It was third. It was third and 6. So
interesting. I was not prepared for that.
My number one thought is not a huge fan of that, in the sense that I'd rather give it to Gibbs or Monty. However, I will say that this could be setting up something down the road, right? They could be setting up some plays where they put Amon-Ra on the backfield, set up some mismatches, and we're setting things up. So I'm holding my judgment for that, because I'm hoping that that's what that is, like that because that's what I thought. I'm like, this is really gimmicky. I don't understand. I mean, I'm not saying Amon-Ra can't do it, but I'd rather have Gibbs back there. I'd rather have Monty back there doing it.
Well, let's just read this drive real quick. A drive in the second quarter. First down, Goff pass complete to Montgomery for 4 yards. Second down, Montgomery up the middle for 2. Then they bring in, which I don't know, I'd have to look in the all-22, but I don't know if Demo was on the field when Amon-Ra took the handoff. But so 2nd and 6, Demo gets 2 yards. Then they bring out Amon-Ra, 3rd and 4. They let Amon-Ra run on 3rd and 4 for the first down. Then they give it to Khalif Raymond. That was that end around. Khalif Raymond gets 9 yards. David Montgomery then gets 9 yards. David Montgomery then gets 11 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs then gets 11 yards. And then that culminates in a play action, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a play action pass to Brock Wright for the touchdown. We run it down their throat. We run it every way possible. And then just when they're like, they're going to run it again on 1st and goal. Nope. Now it's a pass. Surprise.
Yeah.
So that was a great drive.
Yep. I liked just everything about the ways we scored in this game, because there was drives where we're just throwing it and just gashing them. There's the deep plays, and there's also plays where we're running and controlling a drive and doing what I consider a Detroit Lions drive, where we're just saying, we're going to run the ball. You try to stop us. Oh, you can't stop us. We're going to run. We didn't have any super long 11 or 12 play drives that I can remember, but it was because we kept gashing them too much. But we had those type of game where you're just going to be able to run the ball and you can't stop us with Monty or Gibbs. That was great.
Yes. And obviously that's the kind of game I envisioned when I went with the under on 46.5 points.
Yes. I want to give a shout out to Dynasty Lions. He said, I'm your biggest fan, reporting from Chicago. Well,
Ooh.
I hope that you get to throw it in a lot of people's face today. Although the Bears, I don't want to throw too much in their face. They're realizing that it's not going to be this quick turnaround that they envision, I'm sure. But he said the fans are in full meltdown mode, and I'm sure they are. I saw one tweet was like, well, Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson were like 3-13 in their first year and 1-6 in their next year. So we have a little bit of a way, but they have Ryan Poles as a GM and we have Brad Holmes, so not the same.
Freshly renewed contract, Ryan Poles. So
yeah,
not well. Move on.
I would say that the Bears, like especially this year, with if you're going with this, they have a much better roster than what the Lions had when Dan Campbell took over.
Agreed.
So I would expect better than 3-13, and they did too because they thought they were going to win the division there in Chicago. They won that offseason. What did you think? I know we scored 52 points, and I feel like it's I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but what did you think that we needed to work on better? Was there anything that you were like, okay, this something's good, we got to clean up?
I mean, honestly, that was kind of the third downs we already mentioned, the offensive line play, which was good. I just felt like it was good, not great. And then, for Goff going 23 of 28, 334 yards, 5 touchdowns, he missed a couple throws. And the one catch that J-Mo had, I don't know if you could tell watching it live or if you saw it in the replay, that was such a bad ball. It was like just not, I don't know if it was
talking the 64-yarder or the one that he caught a touchdown on.
Not the touchdown pass. Touchdown pass was clean. The other one.
Watch that play again. He's getting smoked. He's getting smoked when he throws that ball.
Yep.
So that's my excuse for that throw. You watch any Jared Goff throws and you're like, how does it get there accurately? I don't get it because he doesn't throw a spiral. Hardly ever. I remember last year and I think it was in the Texans game or something. They're like, oh, that got tipped at the line. They're like, no. You watch the replay, it's not even close to being a tip. It's just a duck. But it gets there, and he's got the arm strength to get there. I mean, is he Matthew Stafford? No, but for the most part, he gets it there. The one that disappointed me the most is that one that you mentioned earlier to J-Mo, where he just grounds it like 5 yards in front of J-Mo, because that was, I mean, he is wide open. I don't know what happened there. I'm not sure what happened because that's the disappointing one. And I could see that from the stands. I was like, oh my God, he's wide open. And then he skips it to him. I'm like, oh God, that was something we left on the table.
Yeah. And obviously had the game went differently, that's way more disappointing. Now, because that was early on, the way the rest of the game went, you kind of let that one go a little bit. But it's still noteworthy to say that's one that you got to have.
Yep. I will tell you that my biggest thing that we need to do is we got, 2 turnovers, through fumble and interception, and then 2 turnover on downs, and we only came up with 14 points. We got to do better than that. And the one we got turnover on downs when they went for it, that was amazing, by the way. 3rd and 1, stop them from rushing. 4th and 1, stop them. He stopped 2 quarterback sneaks in a row. That is so hard to do. And then did not come away with any points out. That, after Bates missed a 55-yarder, that sucked. And so we got to do better with that.
Real quick, that drive was the one. So it was 1st and 10. They got 9 yards. 2nd and 1 was when Tyleek batted that ball down. And then 3rd and 1, we stuffed Caleb. 4th and 1, we stuff him again.
Yeah.
So that's 3 straight stops, so they couldn't get a yard in 3 tries.
I know.
But yeah, you're 100% right. And that felt like we were watching it. It felt like it was going to come back to bite us. Because, the score at halftime, 28-14, it felt like we should have been up, 35-7 or more. It just felt like we were putting it on them, but just for whatever reason was not happening. We were not separating.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I think that's something that we got to clean up. I mean, good on the defense for getting all those turnovers. So, I mean, that it is good enough to stop a drive, stop momentum, but you can, in my opinion, you can reverse that momentum with them. We get the ball on our own 37. We should be scoring. We should be lighting it up right then. Like that was disappointing. So Okay, Dynasty Lions. You just asked a question that I'm gonna talk about now. The Tesla catch. Okay, it was
I was
very
getting
confusing
there.
in the stadium.
Yeah, right.
And I wanted to clarify that for everyone, and I'm glad that he brought that up because or he or she, I'm assuming he, but I'm sorry, could be a she. And I want to bring that up because in the stadium it was really confusing, and I don't know what your optics were at home, but so in the stadium he catches the ball. They ruled that he was out of bounds, and so then I don't know at what point the clock kept going. Like I don't know at what point I'm not sure because it was very confusing in the stands. So then, they go to clock it, it said 0 and we're like, what happened? He was out of bounds. And then the whole Chicago bench just starts like they do a little huddle and then all Chicago bench left. They were like some of them were actually in the tunnel when they did that. I don't know what you could see from home, but that's what it was.
They show them starting to run off.
Okay.
It's just funny because they almost think that they're going to be like, well, they're already gone. Let's just call it. We're not going to.
Let's go call it.
That does not matter.
Yeah. So here's what happened. 16 seconds left. That Tesla makes the catch. The ref initially rules that he was out of bounds, so stop clock. Then they go to the review booth. It wasn't like official review, but it was whatever the quick review, assist. Whatever. Yeah, review assist. Then they ruled that it should have been inbounds, and so they ended up just doing a 10-second runoff. And so since there were 16 seconds on the clock, that left us with 6 seconds. Lions go for it. It looked like a pitch and catch to Amon-Ra, which was like the easiest touchdown I've ever seen in my life. Down there, I don't know. That was awesome. That was another thing. But that's what happened, was that we benefited from a 10-second runoff. We're not usually in that situation. However, I will say if they rule that correctly, say like he says he's in bounds, the Lions get down there and clock that in 16 seconds. I don't know if they have 6 seconds on the clock, but they at least get another playoff. I mean, they might have like 4. I don't know. But if it's ruled like how it was, I don't think the Lions like ended up getting an extra play because of that. We might get an extra couple seconds, but is that what you feel, or do you feel like the Bears got shafted on that?
No, 100%. Which, I mean, you already made the point, but that's something that people they're completely disregarding online, is that had they said, okay, he's in bounds, when he catches it, the ref right next to the throw, he's giving the signal that the clock is stopped.
Yeah.
So then they're operating as if the clock is stopped. Then, which you can't really see on the broadcast, but at some point there's some sort of mass confusion, and then all of a sudden they're rushing the line as the clock is running. And I'm sitting here with my sons, with Milo and JJ. I'm like, he was out of bounds. He was out of bounds. Why is the clock running? Why is the clock running? What's going on? Mm-hmm. And then, he tries to spike it. It says zeros. And I'm like, it's happening again. We're about to get screwed right now on something that we should have got. I was like, here we freaking go. They're discussing, but the announcers don't know either. It's like they can't figure out what's going on. There's mass confusion everywhere. They got Dan Campbell on the screen kind of arguing with the ref, trying to find out what's happening. I mean, it's ironic that we, get this 10-second runoff thing back, but that, they did not give us 6 points, right? They did not just put 6 points on the board. So for the Bears to act like that was the swing and that was the final straw that kind of, broke, and that's how we started breaking open the game, is crazy. I don't know who the corner was, but that was terrible coverage on Amon-Ra. I don't know what he thought we were doing. Yeah. Obviously, with 6 seconds left, you'd think, well, they're probably going to throw it quick, and if they don't get it, they're going to kick a field goal. Mm-hmm. That was bad coverage. Yeah. So I mean, it was the right call for me though. Like, I don't know how it looked like he caught it as he was going out of bounds. I don't understand how you could say they got him in bounds just because he was touched like as he hit. I mean, it's so close for them to just have a replay assist without having a full, like, let's really look closer at this.
Yeah, well, I mean, his knee is on the ground and he is being touched. So, I mean, I agree that he was actually in bounds. I got to say, though, if it's not like 16 seconds left in the game, they probably just say that's out of bounds. Like, they don't even like worry about that. Like, I just think it was because of the time left that they, looked into it further.
And, that's what they called on the field. They're following the appropriate thing. we've been on the wrong side of that, right? With this stupid 10-second runoff and everything. So, I do not feel sorry for the Bears that happened.
No, and I think the Lions still get that. Now, do you agree? Do you agree that they should have went for the touchdown, or were you like, oh man, we should be doing a field goal?
I mean, based on the way that game was going, like I already said, it felt like we should have been up by a lot. So I think they felt pretty comfortable. And with the time that was left on the clock, they knew that they were going to try to throw one quick. I mean, it only took 4 seconds for that touchdown to happen. So if it didn't, if it falls incomplete, then they're kicking the field goal. So I'm 100% on board with going for it there.
Yep. I'm okay with it too.
Even if we don't get it and the time does run out and it's like, okay, you know what? We missed our opportunity to put 3 on the board. I can live with that. We still have the lead, and based on how the game is going, I mean, you feel good about what you're doing.
I agree. I felt pretty good about the offense being able to move that ball at any point in that game. I wasn't worried about that. Really, our defense was playing really well too. Attacking defense, and then just like the second half of the Packers game, our rush started. Our defense seems to be in much better shape than the offensive line, and just it seems to take over in that second half. And I think Shep is only going to get better with that, finding his combination of who he could trust rushing the passer, how he's going to rush the passer, and I think that's going to I think that's going to get better. And I think a lot of people need to give Johnnie Mo an apology that, he's running some sort of conservative offense. No, that offense was very similar to the Ben Johnson offense from last year, attacking the middle of the field. It was just the Packers our offensive line was not able to deal with the Packers rush, and they got ahead of us. We were ahead of the Bears. Like, we did everything we wanted to do, against this team. We got up, and then we're able to play our game. They can't just sit back in a shell and let everything happen in front of them. All that stuff, we were able to rush the ball. Like, all that stuff is why the result is different. Now, I didn't expect 52 points, but I did expect a better offensive output, and very happy.
Yeah, right. I mean, any Sunday when you can just chill for, almost the whole fourth quarter and you're just watching, especially when Kyle Allen comes in, and you're like, okay, yeah, it's a good day.
I know. Tyson Bagentson and Kyle Allen. I was like, am I at a preseason game? What's going on here? What? But real quick, Tesla, another amazing one-handed catch. Like, the guy, we got to get this ball. Got to get the ball a little more. I want to see a crosser over the middle. I want to be able to use his speed. Like, I want to get some yak with this guy. But got to be the most amazing 2 first catches for a wide receiver in history.
Oh, right.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not that well versed that I've seen every receiver's 2 first catches, but the only thing that could beat that was that for a touchdown. But we ended up getting a touchdown the next play, so he set us up pretty darn good. So next best thing, in my opinion.
Right? No, he got more snaps this game, but just the one catch. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that was the play call, right? That was the read. If he beats him, we're taking a shot here, and Goff take a shot in one hand again. We got to get this kid a good nickname.
I know. I heard the Electron because of like Tesla with the electricity. I don't know. We haven't hit it yet. I heard Kurt Steele called him Cybertruck because of Tesla. Not a huge fan of that one. Cybertrucks. I've
heard several attempts, just nothing's hitting quite right.
I'm not sure yet. We'll see. I don't care. The fact that we can even give this guy a nickname tells me that we're doing something right. So he's I love it. All right, man. Before we move into the all 22 stuff, let's review our grit guarantees. We've kind of already talked a little bit about it. 46.5. You said the under. The Lions beat it by themselves. So
yes, and I am okay with being wrong in that fashion. No, I thought we were gonna. I felt like we were going to try to control them. We were going to try to take it to them. I expected to have a couple really long drives, and that was just not. I mean, we were scoring. We got chunk plays. We were scoring quick. I mean, we were dominating them. So I'm okay with that. Just not how I envisioned things going down.
Yeah. I got mine wrong as well. I said 3 or more false starts. We only got 2.
You got 2.
We got 1 like almost right away. I think in the first or second series, and I was like, good. We did cause them to use a timeout. The crowd did. So I know that's not a false start, but
5 minutes
we were
into
close,
the first
but,
quarter was the first false start.
And so our roar alerts, though, we both hit on that. You said Kirby gets a turnover or a big stop, got the diving interception. I'll give you credit on that. And I know mine was general, saying the offense in general, but I got a hit with it.
Yeah,
52 points. I hit on that, right? So like if it's like in the high 30s, you could say, well, that was too general. No, 52 points I get. And everyone was, everybody was showing out. So I'm giving myself credit on that. I'll try to be more exact later on, but I just had a feeling that the offense was going to cook. Johnny Mo was going to do his thing, and it's the way it worked out. So
you were right on.
Yeah. We are going to be back on. We won't be live Thursday night, but we're going to do, because the next game's on Monday night, so we're kind of delaying it a day. So we'll be back Thursday, so we'll have a new show Friday for you. We're about to do the All 22, so if you're in chat, stick with us. We're going to go over some stuff there, and we are so close on YouTube subscribers, so follow us and, get us to 1,400 if we're not there already. Follow us on Twitter at Talking Grit Pod, and we enjoyed having you with us. And anything before we take off here, Jacob?
No, nice win. We're on to the next one.
Yeah. Big shout out to Dan Dynasty. The Passing Tide boys were in here. Brian, you're in here. We're going to be on their show on Wednesday night. So that'll be fun for us. So thanks for everyone that, hung out with us. There's some people in the chat that did speak up, but thanks for showing up, and anybody that watches us later on. So one thing left to say, and I'm really glad to say it after a win.